Good morning. This is the first conversation I have with Marcela Krejciková. If I pronounce it correctly, I'm still wrestling with that. Sorry about it. And Marcela is a three principles coach and an English teacher in Czech Republic. I'm Sui Miedema. I'm a three principles coach as well. And we have been talking about slowing down. And we would like to share that conversation more or less with you, so you can maybe have some benefits from that. Shall I kick it off if you like?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's do that. So one of the important things with this understanding is that slowing down will help you reconsider and make things more at ease. Very often, we are often advised by our brain, we have to fix this now and quickly, and otherwise something terrible will happen, or we might have a fight, or anything which could come forward from your brain. But very often it's not the case. And if you just allow yourself to relax a bit and to see what's happening, really, most of the time, you'll get more room in your thinking or in your awareness to see what other options are available to you. So it makes the pondering over the situation or the thinking about the situation often much easier and less stressed. And it doesn't mean that I do that all the time, because I step into the same trap every time again, because we are human, and that's okay. But it is because we have our brain which is trying to keep us safe from any situation. And that's not always the best advice you can get. So what we do is we try to solve situations very quickly, but if we allow ourselves, if we just step away from that thinking, just step backwards and say, well, what's happening here right now? Do I need to take a decision right now? And sometimes you do. And that's okay. That's fine. Sometimes you do, and sometimes you have to take immediate action. Because if a bus is rolling in your direction, and if you don't step away, you'll be overrun. There's no point in staying there. So that's an important thing to consider. But your body will tell you just to step away. So you can trust on that. But it's always wise just to step away from that, because it will give you more room to consider other options. And sometimes that quietness in your brain will bring you new ideas, new input, new options, and new other ideas. How do you look at that, Marcela?
Yeah, it's very nicely put. And what has just come to me is that it may be helpful just to, as you say, step back and just sip a cup of tea or coffee and look out of the window and really ask myself, okay, what's really important to do right now, especially in those moments when, for example, my working week starts and I can see those piles of documents and notes to be done, and it's at times it may start feeling really stressful, or I can feel it immediately in my body, and I can follow the time, and I know, oh my God, there is not enough time. how can I manage everything? And yet I have been able recently to tell it by my feeling more visibly. I can see it now that I can start feeling tension in my body inside. And that's just a signal, okay, for stepping back, as opposed to start working in a hurry and this and that. And I can then very probably make more mistakes, as you have also mentioned very often to me. And so it has proved as really, really wise just to notice the feelings or even the sensations in my body and listen to that. Allow myself to relax, even for a short time. It may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then just again look, okay, this is important, and do it, and then something, what is next, and always keep asking, and just trust more that I will anyway do exactly what I'm supposed to do on that day, and that it hasn't been really on me so much as I have been thinking so far, or I have thought so far. So yes, so, and if I can just give you an example from my real life, from yesterday, for example, because is it okay?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, it was Sunday morning, and I was just about to. My plan was to do some ordinary household work, tidying, cooking, and also to get ready for the coming working week. And after having breakfast with my family, which was really nice, I just started to feel a little bit discomfort, okay? And the sun started to shine, and I was kind of prompted to go out instead of starting doing something. And yet I could just see that more visibly again as compared to the previous times. And I was just little while thinking, and then I decided, okay, let's start with cooking. Let's switch on some music on Spotify and on the speaker, and I could see, okay, I started even dancing while cooking, which I really love. And I felt the energy of the song, and I just was more kind of woken up to my energy, which is always underneath. And if we can just touch that, we can be just sure that we follow this innate wisdom. We can hear it kind of better, what to do next. So as I was in this, let's say, state of mind, which was at first lower, and then it went definitely upper or higher. Then I decided, okay, what about next? So I did the tidying, and what about next? I went to the computer, although it was lunchtime, but the other family members weren't still not here for having lunch. So I just went to the computer, and then my daughter just came in and said, "Mom, will you have lunch with me?" And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I want to finish something." But very shortly afterwards, I could hear myself, what I was saying. And I said, oh my, is it really that my work at the computer is more important to me right now than my daughter, just being with my daughter at lunchtime? And I just jumped out. And of course, I went to the kitchen and had lunch with her and was just happy to share with her and was grateful for those moments with her. And then, to my surprise, I just happily returned to the computer, although originally I would have been thinking, oh no, it's sunny and I can't leave the computer, because if I leave the computer I won't be able to get back anymore. So those patterns, so to make the long story short, I finally finished, to me, what was necessary to do to start a nice, smooth week.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was even able to go out and have a lovely walk, even though the sun was already away. But it didn't matter. It was just nice. And I just enjoyed a nice feeling. So the feeling was somehow more visible. It was easier to touch it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also what I have noticed recently. The more often I can touch it, so to say, feel it,
Mm-hmm.
feel myself, to be more precise, the more often it comes out, the more often it occurs in various situations, and I am able to feel it. And even in those situations where I used to think it's because of the other people, it's because of the situations, even those nice of course, I used to think that the bad situations and discomfortable situations, they always happen because of the other people. But I also used to think the same about nice situations. But now, the more I have been able to be in that feeling, I know that it's not them, whether in positive or negative, whatever, but it's just me touching deeper myself. And that's a great signal even for just doing ordinary doing during ordinary days.
Yeah.
And it's so worthwhile to me.
I can completely concur to what you are saying. It's so refreshing to find out that if you just they do things one by one, step by step, and don't let yourself be aggravated by your own brain, you'll see that things will just happen the way you planned it. And the funny thing is, because you're less stressed, you'll make less mistakes. So the quality of your work is better and it takes less time. I can fairly often I hear from my clients that they say I'm gaining 30 to 60% production increase. That's amazing. That's very much. And not every day, of course, because sometimes things go sour. Sometimes things go just not the way you want it. The funny thing is, once you learn to keep your mental peace, let's call it that way, or your mental at ease, you suddenly find, wait a minute, I don't have to bother about this. I don't have to worry about this. It will fix itself. And the funny thing is, then things will just fall into place and it will happen. And so in the end, you got the time to take that walk, which you longed for in the morning, and you took it in the afternoon. And I had a similar experience yesterday. We had quite a few things to go through in the morning, and I needed to do some painting for my son. He was moving house, and we needed to do some stuff in the garden. And I said, "Oh my God, it's way too much." And I was just saying, let's just start and just paint the thing, and let's walk the dog, which we need to do, which need to be done too. And so I painted the thing I needed to paint, and I said, "Oh, wait a minute, I've got some time left. Let's do the gardening as well." So I cut some plants which needed cutting, and cleared it out, and then I had some time left over to start cooking the dinner for tonight last night, and we had a wonderful dinner. It's amazing how easy things go, and it's only because of we are getting upset by our own thinking, by our own feelings. And thinking and feeling are connected on the same, they're two sides of the same coin, really. They're intimately connected. So if you get a feeling, this is not okay, don't carry on with it.
Mm.
Say, okay, I've got an awful feeling now. That's not going to help me. What's going to help me? Well, you started doing cooking in the morning, and then you did the other stuff you wanted to do. Then you went to the computer, and then you suddenly realized, wait a minute, my daughter's coming for lunch. Let's have lunch and carry on after that, and have a wonderful walk in the afternoon. Amazing, and how it's as simple as that. And these signals, and that's what Bill Pettit says all the time. They're signals. They call them. He calls them love letters of your mind. Don't pay attention to this. Don't make it a fuss. As long as there's not anything serious about it. Of course, if there's something serious, you have to take action. Of course, but still. And then you suddenly learn not to worry so much about all that stuff. And it's not happening all the time, of course. But sometimes some things go sour, of course, and it's okay. It's okay too. And then you can laugh at yourself and say, "Oh, silly me! I fell again for it, and I just stepped into my own trap, which I set up myself." Isn't that funny?
Mm. It reminded me those loving letters of Dr. Bill Pettit, which is really amazing in his sharings. And the same Dr. Dickon Bettinger, he just says something similar, like those signals are just loving invitation, an opportunity just to relax, to step back, to get back to yourself, listen for the feeling. And I really love that. And what you said about about your clients mentioning how much time they gain, or that when they get deeper to that and get to the feeling, to recognizing the feeling, I would definitely agree with that, because it has definitely happened to me recently that to me, I have been working much more efficiently, and I can see I have been managing much more compared to the past. And it also happened to me that a thought came, something like, oh my, I had wasted so much time. But immediately, as you said, I just recognized, oh, I don't want to go there. It's just, what if it's just exactly the way it is supposed to be right now? And the same, it was absolutely okay for me the way it was in the past. What if I just stopped blaming myself about whatever, punishing myself, and, as you said, just recognize the feeling and trust it more, that the things will evolve.
Yes, and it's so difficult for us because we've been taught different. We have been taught you have to stay in control of everything around you in order to get results. And the funny thing is, it's not true.
Yeah.
It's really not true. And that's so, well, confronting for a lot of people. They don't understand that. They say, I've been taught this and the whole world is telling me all the time, even now on television and on the internet, and everyone's telling you, well, take this pill, you'll feel wonderful. No, you won't feel wonderful. The pill will not cause you to feel wonderful. Yeah, maybe if you do take some LSD or something like that, or something else, you'll feel wonderful for a short time. Then afterwards, you'll feel awful because it's not there anymore. And you'll become dependent on it. And you don't want that.
Yeah.
And this is not, this is well, maybe it is also a little bit like a drug, but it has no consequences. And that's good.
And the beauty is, the more we discover the more we want to discover. And it's infinite, actually.
Absolutely.
I can just feel it by the feeling that it's just opens the possibilities. And in a funny way, it may really sound absurd. As I said, I have been definitely managing much more work. And yet, as if I had more time, doesn't go together. And yet, because I don't get bothered with all those, let's say, as Sid Banks used to say, infectious thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
I don't go there so often anymore. Or if I go, only for a short time, and it doesn't take so much energy, as you also very often said to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So I have much more capacity to do whatever.
Yeah.
And this is great. And another thing came to me, someone mentioned it in a heartfelt presence room yesterday, and it was such a great name that and I realized, yeah, those sensations of tension I have been through so often, but it's not, as they say, that a saber-toothed tiger was just chasing me. It can happen through our lives.
Yes, of course.
But compared to a daily routines, it's just very seldom. And of course, when it happens that we go through a life-threatening situation, we know that. And as if the time stopped in those moments, and we know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Which we can notice when we look back, when we experienced something like that. And I guess we could count that on our fingers, how often it happens. It really didn't happen, thanks God, so often that saber-toothed tiger was chasing us. Yeah. But we knew what to do. And we don't, but what's the thing is, or point, we don't have to run away, so to say, so often, because we are in fact not in those life-threatening situations so often. Just to see that more, and again, see it as a signal.
And just notice your own feelings and what's going on with you or around you or in your direct vicinity. I've told it again and again. If you have a feeling which makes you feel bad, it always has the same four results. It'll make you feel awful. You'll try to solve it, and you'll spend a lot of time on it to try to solve it, but you can't solve it because it's most of the time it's somewhere in the future, and you don't know what's in the future. So you don't have the answers. You don't have the information to solve it very, very often. It costs a lot of energy because 40% of your energy is going through in your brain. 40% of all your energy daily is going through your brain. So that's a lot of energy. So you get tired of it. And I don't know how it's with you, but when I've had a fight with my wife, for instance, which I have sometimes, I'm tired after that. I'm really tired after that. It's really eating away your energy.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I'll always think, oh, what a stupid person am I? Why have I fallen into this trap? And the funny thing is, if you follow a feeling which makes you feel good, you'll feel good, of course. The sad thing is it'll be gone before you know it. Most of the time it's very short time. It'll give you energy, and it'll make you proud of yourself or someone else who might have been helping with it. So what's the point of following bad or non-helping thoughts, as I call them all the time?
Yeah.
And neutral thoughts are okay. Don't
Mm.
for- don't forget that neutral thoughts are okay, because you have to be careful, of course, because it can turn either way. But neutral is okay, because you'll feel okay. I can do this. I can handle this. I can work with this. I can take distance from my own thinking. I can take distance from my own feelings and say, oh, what's going on? Oh yeah. Oh, my daughter's coming to invite me for lunch. Let's have lunch, and I'll go carry on with my work on the computer later. Like you said, wonderful.
Mm.
That's what I did yesterday. I was painting the block for my son, and I said, "Oh, wait a minute, that one quick. I have some spare time now. Well, let's cut the plans and clear it away, and fine." So I cleared the garden a bit, and it was looking nicer. And my wife likes that very much, so
Mm.
she was happy too. So
Yeah.
that's good.
What came to me about those you mentioned argument with your wife or whatever, and that it actually I have been through those, let's say, habitual situations and patterns with my
Mm-hmm.
husband the same, and so many times, and yet now I have been noticing when it happens, well, again, I can relatively quickly recognize the feelings or even the symptoms which don't feel good. And again, I can kind of more freely decide where to go. And I'm really thankful that most often I just manage at least to remain silent already. Not to go to those reactive actions. And even when I do sometimes, as it happens, as you said, again, I can just, even after that, very shortly recognize the feeling which doesn't feel so good and just step back and and what's even nicer, not to blame myself for it
Or
anymore,
the other.
to beat myself up, that I didn't manage, so to say. And even see my husband with more compassion that, well, I have been sneezing something sometimes on him. And of course, if I sneeze, he sneezes back to me because what I give, I, I get back.
Yeah.
It's just how it works. But I used to try to be nice to him. And then when he wasn't, I used to feel as a victim, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So to me, when I can look back and see that now, as I was trying, it was not real, so to say, maybe. It was really, I was pushing myself to be nice, but I didn't feel it as true, maybe. And he
Mm-hmm.
could feel it. And that's why he reacted back in a not nice way, as I can see it now, maybe. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's that I don't know if it's understandable, but what we give to the others, it's important that it's just pure.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It's pure. Okay. And as I said, it's okay, whatever it is. We can anytime notice again if we give something not so nice and just even say sorry or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's
most importantly, not to blame, beat ourselves up, and want to analyze it backwards because it doesn't bring anything good. It just consume our energy again, as you said.
absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
I have the same with our little doggy. Um, Yesterday we went walking together with my wife and the dog, and she said, "It's funny when you are with us, the dog seems to react to other dogs in a more well, feisty or fiery way than when she's with me. And that got me thinking. And I said, wait a minute. And she's been, well, unfriendly to certain dogs. And I couldn't get my fingers around it. I couldn't understand why she did that. Because there was nothing really happening. And I couldn't see anything. So I started to understand that, well, the dog is very close to us. So she might also be picking up something from me. So what I'm going to test now the next few days is see whether if I try to keep my calm and be quiet and at ease with the situation, see how she reacts. It could very well be that she's picking up on me, on my situation, my state of mind, and as a result of that, trying to defend me for any reason she's making up. Maybe she's misinterpreting what I'm feeling. Because I'm a bit worried. Oh yeah, there comes that dog, and I know she's been gnarling at him in the past, and I don't want to have to happen that again. And well, so there I go again.
Bubbling underneath.
Bubbling underneath, yeah. And on the outside, I'm totally calm, but she senses it. I think she senses it.
Yeah, they sense it.
So that's a very practical approach to this. Trying to keep your calm and say, okay, let's carry on, and let's not do anything special about this. And this is just a dog coming. There's nothing there. Let's see how this works.
And even if she starts to react, not to make anything up from that.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Not another story, so it's just the way how it is now. Oh well.
Yeah, we don't have to like everyone.
Yeah,
we don't like every person. That's true. I don't like every person.
yeah, not to, and just put a full stop behind, as Michael Needs keeps saying. And not to want to analyze it again and just why and explore why, and it gets us in troubles again. But what reminded me, your story of when because our kids, our girls have been already adults, and it has reminded me of that when they come back home at times. It's funny, my husband seems to be out of his, let's say, normal feelings or something, and exactly how you said, if I remain quiet and calm, okay, it seems okay. But whenever I get somehow irritated or whatever, it looks as if the presence of our girls irritates him even more too. So, and it's absurd because we look so much forward to be with them, and yet it looks as if it provokes discomfort in general at some points. But I have learned newly, I would say, just to watch it again, not to take responsibility for that, just to do and just keep my 50% responsibility in those interactions as best as I can. And even if I'm not so good, so what? Again, I can notice and step back again and feel.
Yeah. And that's why how we keep on learning all the time.
Yeah.
We just notice things happening, and we, well, more or less almost decipher the complexity of what was there, and it's not so complex anymore. That's the funny thing. It's really quite simple.
Yeah.
If we just are being swept away by our feelings, and your brain's taking over, and he's telling you, oh, you have to take action on this, and it's terrible, and everything will go wrong, and so on and so on. It's not helping. It's really not helping.
And what has seemed to me as something very crucial too is just remind myself of what I really like, what I really love, what has been important to me, what brings joy and smile to my life, and just head for it, keep the direction, because even in those seemingly difficult situations or interactions or whatever, the moment I notice and kind of surrender, not to want to solve it at once, and give it time, allow to just let it go and just watch it, allow myself just to watch it, and keep focusing myself in that seemingly not relating whatever activity, the solutions or ideas, new fresh ideas somehow come up as if by miracle. But in fact, that's just the way how it works. If we just follow the nice energy, which we know what it is for each of us. It can be absolutely different for each of us, but good to know, or it's also good to remember what it used to be, because we might have forgotten.
Yes, that too. That too.
And look for incentive people too. To me, that has been also very important. Sad. Just keep the direction.
Yes, and slow down. Slow down, take that step back and see what's going on, what's happening right now. Am I a victim of my own thought or not?
As if a camera came out of me and was watching me.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, what are you doing now? Is it fine? How does that feel? Do you want to continue that? No. And what else is on offer?
Yeah.
Next, as Katie Casey says. Okay, well, next.
Absolutely. Step out of it. And that's so important because it helps you so much to relax and, well, enjoy life to the fullest. Well, at least better than you're not doing now.
Yeah. And it reminded me just of a beautiful saying Chipman mentioned once, that he asked Sid, maybe you might have heard it, and Sid, Chip said, I was in one of my lower moods, and I just asked Sid, and Sid, will I ever be so good as you, in those heights? And Sid replied, no, but you will be better and better and better. And there is a lot of hope in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing is that it is really getting better all the time. But it's much slower than you want, than your brain wants. And that's what you have to take into consideration. It's much slower than your brain thinks it should be. Yeah. Because your brain is always pushing you, trying to set you forward, or to bring you forward and to push you to get better results. But it's not always true. And most of the time, it's not even necessary.
So it's good to remind ourselves of being patient.
Yeah.
And to ourselves, and with ourselves especially.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's a nice closure, isn't it?